Good afternoon, St. Mary's. It's Tom Leo. We are back for the weekly email and weekly video. So I just wanted to mention that this week is this month is actually the day for the Holy Souls of Purgatory, and a good reminder, just something to think about. For me, like Holy Souls, I've told you this before. Holy Souls are awesome. I absolutely love Holy Souls, and the reality of Purgatory is actually just like a super beautiful one, because oh geez, if I could just tell you in 2 minutes like what that whole thing has done for me. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. It's so beautiful, and it's kind of I think a good way to explain it, and I've kind of heard this from the mystics of the church. So the mystics are the saints who had received revelations. I typically, so before getting into that trail, they have a lot of people, a lot of the saints have seen, souls in purgatory. I guess there's a museum in Rome in which there are like marks on the walls that they have collected these indents that have been left by souls in purgatory. And I've never seen it personally, but I didn't even know it existed until just recently. So it is a tradition of the church. It's taught in the church, and really the main two scriptures that it comes from, somewhere in the Old Testament, I can't remember if it was like Sirach or something, talks about it's good to pray for the dead. That would only make sense if there was a purgatory, right? If that was all that there was, heaven and hell, then praying for either of those people wouldn't make sense, right? Because they're either in heaven for all eternity or they're in hell for all eternity. So praying for the dead is encouraged in the Old Testament. I can't remember exactly the phrase or the verse, but and then the other one that we kind of look at in the New Testament was when Jesus says that make peace with your brother on the way to court. Otherwise, your brother will hand you over to the judge. The judge will turn you over to the torturer, and the torturer will not release you until you have paid the last cent or the last farthing, which is basically just another way of saying. So he does kind of point or hint in the direction that there is a payment that needs to be made, and that it won't be until the last one that you're released, right? He doesn't say he's going to turn you over to the torturer, and you'll just be paying the infinite sum, or whatever. He does say until the very last one. So he's indicating that there is some sort of a process of purification, and so a lot of the saints. Sorry, I scratched my ankle there. A lot of the saints talk about how the souls in purgatory it's amazing. Like St. Thomas Aquinas talks about how the same fire that ignites hell, that extracts justice from the souls in hell, is the same fire that purifies the souls in purgatory, right? And it is really, the soul is experiencing the justice of God, because God is perfect mercy and perfect justice. Although it's said symbolically, his left hand is justice, his right hand is mercy. So his stronger arm, I guess he's right-handed, is actually in fact mercy. So he is. And it was one of the exorcists said in an exorcism, he said that the demon said that our punishment as demons is far less than what we deserve, right? So even in hell, there's like a sliver of mercy, and so basically that is kind of an idea of what how we can understand God's perfect mercy, perfect justice, infinite of both, right? But we're talking infinite, so he extracts to the very last penny, right? And it needs to be that way, because being perfect justice, that is the only logical way. That's if you think about it logically, it makes perfect sense. He needs to satisfy that. That's just part of who he is. And if we've done something wrong, if someone's done something wrong to us, hey, we need expiation for that, or forgiveness, right? So it's the same thing with God, but on an eternal scale. And so purgatory is really a beautiful thing, and so we kind of go there. It was said, one of the saints said that there was someone who was raised from the dead. I can't remember who this was. It was St. Francis of somebody, maybe De Sales. No. St. Francis of... dang it. Might have not been Francis. Oh, what was that guy's name? Dang it, this literally burns me because I love like. Anyways, I'll get it in like a second. But he said that there was one point where actually he raised someone from the dead, right? That happened in the Old Testament. It happened in the New Testament, right? When Jesus raised people from the dead. It actually has happened with the saints who have brought people back to life. St. Don Bosco is a good example. But this person said that he raised this person from the dead. He says that in purgatory, this person was saying, there's no comparison, right? Even all the sufferings in the world, I'm not sure from this account, but other accounts wouldn't suffice for a single moment in purgatory. That's how painful it is. And then he was asked, he's like, well, like, he was like, would you rather stay here and work out your salvation? He's like, absolutely not. Because when we're in purgatory, we're assured of salvation. And he said it's better to be in purgatory than it is to be here on earth, right? So if I had to choose between here on earth and going to purgatory, even though the pain is undescribable, I'd much rather go to purgatory. The certainty is all that you need for happiness in purgatory. And then they say also at the same time that the joy in purgatory is beyond anything that we can experience on earth. So it's like this beautiful joy and this like tremendous suffering just mixed, right? So we kind of get lost in the reality. But what does that mean for us? So the souls in purgatory can only be released in two ways. They're either released through time, okay? They're allotted a certain degree of punishment, and that's on a spectrum of some sort. And so we can help them, or they have to pay it themselves. For us, like someone said that last thing, there's a saint who was reprimanded by Jesus. At one point she was in prayer and Jesus spoke to her and said, you neglecting to do the Stations of the Cross. She said that she gave it up because she was just lazy. She didn't want to do it anymore. Has left a tremendous amount of souls in purgatory. And she rejoiced at that. She's like, wow, like how stinking easy it is then to just be sending them up, and like we can do Hail Marys, we can do Divine Mercy Chaplet, like the precious blood that pours forth from the side of Christ is re-offered at the Mass. We can offer that to the Father as Catholics. Like we can take that offering of God's blood to the Father for the remission of sins in purgatory. And so that washes that mercy, that tremendous mercy of Jesus dying on the cross was perfect mercy. And so we participate in offering that to the Father for their expiation so that they that washes the flames of justice, right? The Father sees that act of love and accepts it, right, as payment. Going back to it, he needs to satisfy his justice, so he satisfied it on his Son. And then it's for us to choose if we want to accept that mercy. It's not in order for free will to be existing. He can't just give it to us, without our free will, or else that would just annihilate free will, and then there would be no point to any of this. Like we have to accept it with freedom, but we can do that on behalf of others, and that's an act of love, and it washes them out. So it's actually, the Church teaches that is the greatest act of love, better than if you were to give alms, is to pray for the holy souls in purgatory. And then they do more good for us than we could even do in a million years for anybody else, right? Because the gratitude, like imagine if someone pulled you from a burning house, like you would send that person a postcard, every single day, right? Like that would be like, whoa, you saved me from this. And that's just a small comparison. And so really like, purgatory is super, super beautiful. Like the reason actually that another piece, actually the most acute part of the suffering is that I don't know if you've ever been in love, but if you have been, you have this experience where you want to see the person so badly that it causes you this just like, oh, it's like a flame of love. And that's actually more intense than anything for the holy souls in purgatory. It's beautiful, right? Like it's this experience of just like joy. But that experience is where the saints say that's what the flame is. Like they're so desirous to be with God that it just almost feels like the fires of hell. And so yeah, a lot of different information there. But regardless, we can help them so much, and we'll be rewarded more than anything else for helping them, is what the saints have said. So that's all that I kind of have for you. I think that's purgatory scares people away, but it shouldn't. Like, it's actually really cool. So anyways, hope you're doing well. Thanks for listening. This is Tom Leah, and I will talk to you next time. All right, God bless you. Bye-bye.